A very good evening and welcome to this edition of the 933 KFM Hot Seat. Charles Mwangusha Mpagi within the studio, my colleague Angelo Izama. And in the Hot Seat, we keep our eyes trained on Parliament, especially the Public Accounts Committee that released a report that led to the firing or resignation of two ministers, former Attorney General Khidu Makubuya and former Minister for Finance, Namirembe Syda Bbumba. We have with us in the Hot Seat tonight Chairman of Parliament's Public Accounts Committee, also Member of Parliament for Terego County, Ezati Kasiano Wadri. Very nice to have you in the Hot Seat.
Nice to have you too, but at the same time I also want to add that I'm the Chairman of East African Association of Public Accounts Committee. So I preside over 9 countries, including Uganda. Yeah. Nice to be here.
Thank you. Nice to have you. Do you feel satisfied with the resignation of the two ministers or the firing of the two ministers after your report?
I have a little bit of sigh of relief in the sense that not just about their resignation, but the fact that they were able to save time of Parliament and also be truthful to themselves and their families. Because if they hadn't taken that decision to resign, certainly they wouldn't have escaped the censure motion.
Did they take a decision to resign?
They did. I mean,
did they?
They did. They read.
Can you have your resignation announced by someone else?
No. That very day, that is on Thursday, after the acting leader of government business, and who happens to be the third deputy prime minister, General Moses Ali, having communicated to the House the decision that had been taken as a result of the cabinet subcommittee, which was instituted to look and study into my recommendations and the work of my committee. They came up to say, well, they concur with my findings or the findings of my committee, and they also did concur with us in as far as the recommendations were concerned. And indeed he went ahead to say, well, the respective ministers will come and resign on their own. So the fact that they were able, one after the other, to present their resignation to Parliament, to me was a welcome idea, in the sense that, one, as I said, they saved us the time of moving through the censure motion. Number two, and more importantly, they saved their faces, because the censure motion is such a dehumanizing undertaking in which you as a person is stripped bare, and that does not only bring shame and ridicule to you but to your family. So the fact that they were able to, I would call honorably, resign, to me was a welcome idea, and I was happy. But of course that's just only one aspect of what my committee recommended. There are still many other aspects which are yet to be implemented.
Could you take us through those recommendations of your committee?
Absolutely, with the pleasure. Well, I don't know whether you want me to go through the entire recommendation as far as these investigations are concerned. If so, I can do that.
Go ahead.
The first and foremost recommendation was that the two former ministers, former Minister of Finance, Honorable Syda Bbumba, and the former Attorney General, Honorable Khidu Makubuya, do take personal and political responsibility for having caused the financial loss to this country. And after taking that personal responsibility, two, they be relieved of their ministerial duties. And three, that the Office of the Inspector General of Police and, Inspector General of Government and the CID interest themselves, carry out further investigations and take appropriate action. That is as far as these two ministers are concerned.
Can I ask a question there?
Absolutely.
Yes. Did these two ministers, from your investigations, receive personal, receive anything as individuals out of this transaction?
Well, that has not come to my attention. We are only looking at the evidence of the fact that they were able to cause this money to be forked out. Whether the personal benefited from it or not is not an evidence that has been adduced before me. And probably that's where the CID should interest themselves. But nevertheless, regardless of whether the personal benefited or not, I think what for us as a committee we're more interested in looking at was whether Uganda as a country had lost money. That was the benchmark of our actions. Where this money went, how it went. Actually, we're more interested in how it went, not to whom it went. In the sense that if in the course of executing this transaction they received kickbacks, well, that did not come to my attention. It never came to my attention. My concern was about whether they exercised due diligence in carrying out this work.
Go on with some of your recommendations.
So the other recommendations focused on the Governor Bank of Uganda, who in a similar manner we also asked to take personal responsibility for having caused financial loss to this country. And this recommendation was based on the fact that under Article 162.2, the Governor Bank of Uganda is under no direction whatsoever in taking decisions. And when he appeared before us, he came up to say that he was directed. We're asking, who directed you? The law protects you, the Constitution protects you. So you take personal responsibility for not having exercised due diligence and causing that financial loss. And we also went further to say that the Governor Bank of Uganda should also be relieved of his duties. That is as far as the governor is concerned. And of course, we did not only stop there. We went a little further. And of course, many people were eager to say, look, you people didn't come out very strongly on the president. You should have come up and put the president in a tight corner. And indeed, as I've said earlier on, it would have been in my interest as a member of the opposition to really fault President Museveni and find him culpable if it were possible. But according to the evidence that was adduced before my committee and the documentary presentations which were made, the administrative letters, I looked at those as a normal administrative letters which anyone of us could have written.
How do you convince anyone? No, Mr. Wadri,
yes,
how do you convince anyone
Yeah?
that you do an investigation?
Yeah.
There are letters that bear someone's signature, and you don't find the person who signed those letters culpable.
You see, the issue is, if you look at those letters, even if you went to court of law, if somebody comes up and says, look, my Attorney General, I have received a petition from so-and-so. I am here with the referring it to you to look into, study, and ensure that you dispose of this matter as soon as possible. And the other one was dispose of it within 60 days. Surely, in such an administrative letter, how do you fault a person? I would have been more interested in faulting President Museveni if he did in his letter say, my Attorney General, my Minister for Finance, Governor Bank of Uganda, can you please pay 142.6 billion shillings to Basaja Balaba as a compensation? Definitely.
The president told you when you met him that the figure was actually 169 billion. Why didn't you reflect that in your report?
No. You see, the issue is the 169 is talking about includes Nakawa market. Nakawa market alone accounts for 27 billion shillings. And you know, the Public Accounts Committee derives its work and actions from the audited books of the Auditor General. And Nakawa had not been covered under this report which we are studying now. And indeed, during that time when we interfaced with the president, the Auditor General was there. He considered and said, look, the 27 billion shillings which is accrued out of Nakawa market will be reflected in the next Auditor General's report. So I don't work on speculations. I work on what is presented to Parliament.
A quick question to you. There are people who believe out there that you have been thrown a morsel with these resignations, and that serves only political accountability but doesn't return Ugandan taxpayers' money into the treasury.
But you see, that's one of the recommendations that we made. You see, when you look further into our recommendations, we did recommend that Hassan Basaja Balaba does refund the monies that he received over and above amount as determined by the Auditor General. So in which case, whatever he has received excess should be refunded. That is there clearly stated in my report. It's there clearly stated. So, yes, it is true the political side of it has gained. But at the same time, if the other civil arms of government, the executive, like, as I said, the IGG and the CID, through the chambers of the Director of Public Prosecution, if they also swung into action and carried out the investigations, and if true that they agree and concur with my committee's investigation that these three people are culpable and that charges are preferred against them, I think it will go beyond political scores that will have been achieved.
What are you going to do to ensure that you go beyond your report and the resignations?
You see, one thing is very clear. The Parliament as an institution cannot be a prosecuting arm and adjudicating arm at the same time. For us, our work as an oversight committee is to expose matters as they are. The duty is not with of my committee. I have made my recommendation, and I hope the executive and more so the CID and the IGG will be able to carry on with their prosecution.
Talking about oversight, Honorable Wadri, all three principals claim that they received superior orders, that in fact the communication was not simply administrative, that these were directives, that they were bound. In fact, Honorable Bbumba repeated this on the floor. The former Attorney General, in a letter which was published by the Monitor, pretty much stated as much. The governor of the central bank came to your committee and stated as much. Why is it that what these three say is interpreted differently by your committee?
You see,
you chose to believe the president instead of them.
Excuse me, it's not a matter of me choosing to believe the president. By the way, let me tell you that we went and interfaced with the president at the last moment, after we had interfaced with all the other witnesses. I did tell these people, as far as the documentary evidence that you have put before my committee is concerned, it's very difficult to make meaningful interpretation out of it and put President Museveni in a corner. I did ask them. You could have received directives either through telephone calls or being summoned by the president. The onus is on you to tell me whether you received such.
But they testified.
If you choose to keep
they
quiet,
did tell you.
They testified. They testified on the record. I mean, they say that they had documentary evidence, but their intention was communicated to you in a clear manner that in fact they were bound by superior orders.
Which superior orders? Because let me tell you, all proceedings of Public Accounts Committee are recorded electronically. Whoever comes up to say that he ever did tell my committee that he received superior orders from President Museveni, we can print those, and you will be amazed. None of them, if ever they had ever come up to say, look, apart from these administrative letters, the president summoned us individually or gave us telephone calls, we would have gone. We would have presented that. And the honors and the challenge would have been to President Museveni to deny that he ever called his ministers to give orders. But the fact that the ministers chose to keep quiet, honestly, you can take a cow to the well to drink water. But if it refuses to drink, you can't drink the water on its behalf. So these people...
Is this unusual conduct? Because a few weeks later, I think... while addressing members of the military, the president did admit, in fact he stated it openly, that he ordered one of his ministers to sign documents which are a subject of controversy.
Was it anything to do with
Did he write it down? Were those orders communicated in writing?
I have never seen any order communicated. As I told you, what I saw and what my committee saw, which we still have in our records, are administrative.
But I'm putting it to you that in the case of the energy minister, the president stated before the country, and it was being reported widely, that he ordered the minister to sign documents, and those orders were not communicated in writing.
My brother Izaba, let us not mix the two. It is comparable to a situation where you have evidence, you have defense evidence within yourself which you could use to argue out your case. But during the hearing process of the case, you choose not to divulge the information. Now, if you choose not to divulge the information, how will you expect the jury to know what is in your heart? And then if you only come and divulge the information when a judgment has already been passed, whom do you blame?
Do commissions of inquiry lead and these reports actually contribute to the fight against corruption? These resignations, are they mere political presentations and that will not get Ugandan taxpayers' money refunded? We have evidence of previous commissions of inquiry, investigations by the Public Accounts Committee, investigations by the Auditor General, the Inspector General of Government. How much do these actually lead to refund of taxpayers' money? We're joined during this discussion by Captain George Mike Mukula, Member of Parliament for Soroti Municipality, Vice Chairman of the National Resistance Movement for Eastern Uganda, and we'll be bringing him into the discussion shortly after the break. We'll be right back.
KFM Hot Seat, the hottest debate on all